I'm so glad you're with us here on the Clark Howard Show. You know, our mission is to serve you with advice and information that empowers you so you take better control of your finances, make better financial decisions in your life. It's November, which means it is Black Friday month. So many of us already doing our holiday shopping. How do you make sure your packages aren't stolen? Big, big, big problem. And later in this podcast and YouTube show, I'm going to talk about a new way that people are getting themselves into big time trouble with debt that is spreading like wildfire. So, Porch pirates are getting more and more clever, wearing not necessarily disguises, although that has happened, but so many people now have cameras that are there who get a lot of packages to be able to see that the package has arrived, in addition to what notices you get on apps. And also, if somebody comes to steal it, you got video of who the perpetrator was. But now perpetrators are wearing masks, ski caps, wide brim hats, big sunglasses, whatever, so that you don't have a positive ID of who's stealing. And during November, with so much online shopping and delivery, criminals follow Amazon trucks, FedEx trucks, UPS trucks as they make their rounds. They see a package delivered. They see no sign of life at a house. Bam! They're up on that front porch. They got that package, and it is gone. And it's a pain because now you got to contact whoever the company was you got it from. Got to tell them the package was stolen. You got to hope that they believe you. And then you got to wait for the new item. Hopefully it's not sold out. It's a lot. So you got to think about strategies to receive those packages. And I know that a lot of people find it to be a royal pain, but I love the Amazon lockers when you're ordering from Amazon. If you're not in a secure place where your packages are delivered, then why do you want all the hassle? And it's a term that everybody knows, porch pirate, because of a reason, because it happens so much. And so using the lockers, being able to send it to a place that's secure. If you work from home, you're able to, you get the notifications from Amazon's really good about saying, they're 6 houses away or whatever. You're there to get the package when it comes. UPS, FedEx, you got their registration programs. They're not going to be as on top of it, like saying, they're around the corner or whatever, but it's still going to help you. Because a lot of times when a package is delivered by the Postal Service, FedEx, UPS, if you've not registered for notifications, you don't even know that the package has come. And then you're like later, never got that package from XYZ company. So signing up for these services is good, but doing something that's a secure point of delivery is better. And obviously people who live in high rises, this isn't an issue. They're delivered inside and no problem. But with other things, think through how you can make it more secure. And Krista, you get a lot more packages delivered than I do. Mm-hmm. You live in a single family home. You've never had a package stolen, have you?
Not so far, thankfully. I think my dogs scare off criminals, and I also think I have an obvious doorbell camera. I think having obvious security cameras and maybe a sign does deter a lot of people.
We're 12 miles from your house right now, and I'm scared of your dogs 12 miles away.
Gosh.
Those are, man, anybody who tried to mess with you or mess with your house, it would not be a good day for them, would it?
That's not true. But they do bark. They bark a lot. And so
I think they also bite.
I got in between them when they were fighting over food. They never fight normally. They're sweet dogs. One of them is an Aussie Doodle.
Their teeth are like on a prehistoric creature. Those are big teeth. So if somebody doesn't have a dog.
Yeah, you can get a dog. Adopt a dog. That's a good deterrent. And also make sure you do have obvious security cameras. I mean, I think that is helpful. Okay, you ready for questions?
Yeah.
Okay, Charles in New York wrote in with this one. He says, "Good morning, Clark. I just wanted to alert you to a different wrinkle to identity theft that we have narrowly avoided. A few weeks ago, my wife received a debit card in the mail from a local credit union where we don't do business. We visited the nearest branch and they looked through the information on the account and everything was correct except the email address. Her information has been stolen in as many data breaches as anyone else, so I assume that's where the criminal got the info. She did have her credit files frozen, but they didn't apply for credit. They were opening a savings and checking account, so that didn't help her."
And that's a different database that credit unions and banks use. There's more than one.
Right. Check Systems is one of them.
Yeah.
You can freeze we talked about that recently. Someone wrote in about that. The credit union employee told us that the way this goes is the criminal creates an account online with all the correct information, but using their own email address. With accurate information, it looks like a legitimate account opening. After they create the account, they pull the debit card out of the victim's mailbox, complete a change of address, and now they have a fully functional bank account in someone else's name, and any future illegal activities will trace to the victim. How did we avoid this mess? Our townhouse complex has a bank of locked mailboxes. Even though we don't check our mail every day, the criminal couldn't get the debit card and they couldn't complete the process. We've since installed a locking mailbox at my parent-in-law's house. It cost about $100 at the local hardware store and mounted on the existing post.
Thank you for bringing up locking mailboxes again. This is something I've been into for, more than a generation, that you don't realize what an invitation to identity theft, criminal behavior, whatever, having an unprotected mailbox it represents. And locking mailboxes that are widely available are very affordable now, and they provide a level of security that's great. And by the way, if a criminal takes a crowbar and breaks into your locking mailbox, you know the crime happened, rather than rifling through your mail, taking items that you wouldn't want them to have, and you don't know it happened till trouble presents itself. So locking mailboxes are an awesome idea.
Denise in Virginia says, "When's the best time to purchase tickets to Iceland for August of 2026? Also, who did Clark fly on and how was the trip?"
Iceland is great. And you beat me there by 10 or more years or something, didn't you? Go to Iceland way before me?
It was just a few years. It wasn't that long ago.
Oh, do I love it. I remember when we were going to the airport to leave, how sad I was. I wanted another 10 days there. Just love it there. Got to deal with cold, though, any month of the year. It's just relative to what you're used to. So there was a Delta special for $552 round trip, and that's why we went. And a lot of cities in the United States, you live close enough to where you can fly Iceland Air, and they offer, like for you in Virginia, Iceland Air goes out of BWI, and you can go off to Reykjavik. And what a great, great experience. Be prepared for extremely high costs there. Very, very expensive destination. Very tourist-oriented, very tourist-friendly, with scenery that is breathtaking. So when would you buy a ticket for August? not for a good long time. If I were to guess, sometime around March, April might be when you'd see your first good fares that would cover August. Something significant about August. Airfares to Europe drop. I don't know the exact date for 26 yet, but they tend to drop about the third week of August. We go from summer fares to fall fares. And it's because so many school districts in the United States now go back to school early to mid-August. And for the airlines, it changes their fare setting to leisure destinations, especially to Europe. And that's why buying a ticket March, April gets you a shoulder fare that might exist for the latter half of August.
So I do want to say one thing. I just looked it up to be sure because I thought I remembered. This solar eclipse in 26 is August 12th. So
we're going to have the shoulder fares start earlier this year, huh?
Yeah, or, I mean, that might be incredibly expensive. I mean, usually people go for, along those lines, like it gets so expensive. So if your purpose is the solar eclipse. What made you think
of that?
I remembered that.
All these months away.
Yeah, because somebody else had asked about, like, they wanted to go see that specifically, and it's tough, so just FYI. If you're not going to see the solar eclipse, definitely avoid around then.
I just had an idea.
What?
If Iceland Air gives the free stopovers in Reykjavik, but even though they might have the fares higher for people terminating in Reykjavik, if you buy a ticket on to England or France or wherever in Europe, because they're mainly, they use Iceland as a transfer hub like other airlines, and most passengers aren't staying in Iceland, they're going on. But they let you do a short free stopover. Maybe you could do that and lower the fare if it's during the eclipse.
Yeah, and maybe bring a tent to sleep in, because I bet all the hotels are.
Most people who go there as tourists do sleep in tents or campers because the hotel space is so crazy expensive.
I did an Iceland Air package when I went with my mother and daughter, and so we stayed in a hotel in Reykjavik the rooms were tiny but perfectly great. I mean, I enjoyed it. A twin bed and tiny little bathroom, and we had one free tour. I mean, they do some good packages sometimes if you're willing to do it that way too. Okay, Theresa in Washington says, Clark has talked for years about the benefits of freezing your credit, but now another expert in her field, Kim Komando, has stated that freezing your credit is not enough to protect yourself. She said in a recent newsletter that people should try one specific product to protect what a freeze can't. I'm so tired of never feeling like I'm doing enough to protect myself. Can Clark please speak to this comment?
So what Kim talks about is doing a VPN, a virtual private network. I think roughly half of people who use computers routinely use a VPN. There are many available. Buy one. Don't use one of the free ones. The free ones have been a lot of problems with the free ones. As cheap as I am, I'd say buy one. She does endorsements for a particular one, but you can look at something like PC Magazine or any of the tech guides and see their list of the pluses and minuses of various paid VPNs. But a virtual private network is a really great idea for you to protect yourself when you are online. And coming up ahead, I want to talk about something I want you to do to protect yourself with your holiday shopping now that we're in Black Friday month. So I've spent enough time railing against paying for. The big thing that's been so hot, especially, it used to be that you'd see it on impulse items. Now you're seeing paying for all over the place. 4 easy payments that easily destroy people financially because, over a third of people who've used it end up in credit trouble, in default, end up with all kinds of penalties. And now more and more ruining your credit. Well, let's go wider. Buy now, pay later. It started in a big way in the furniture business. Furniture stores realized, hey, we're not in the furniture business. We're in the credit business. And so furniture stores were the originators of no plans. No down payment, no interest, no payment for blah, blah, blah. And it was classic behavioral economics because people would take out the no and not realize if it wasn't all paid off by the end of the payment holiday, that interest at 30-something% was retroactive to day one. Well, fast forward to today, half of Americans have used buy now, pay later. And more are using things, either variations of pay in four that end up having you cough up a lot of interest, or doing the no kind of plans. And what's happening is that we're in a position where people are taking on levels of debt that they cannot handle. It's so alluring when somebody says, buy this new TV and pay nothing for 6 months or 90 days, or buy this whatever it is, where you get a payment holiday for whatever period of time. And the problem again is these buy now, pay laters are getting us to do something that we want to do anyway. You know, you can have the angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other. We want that push that gets us to buy something that maybe we really can't afford. That's the problem. That's the heart of the problem. This is all about manipulating you in a way you kind of want to be manipulated. Until later, it's like if you ever partied too much one night and you drank too much liquor, how do you feel the next day? Or even by like 3 a.m? But this is something that doesn't go away in a day. The bill's there. And the interest that you end up with on the no plan is a no for your wallet. Because, yeah, they said if you paid everything in X number of months, you're paying 0. But they are counting on the fact that most people aren't going to get it paid off. And then remember, retroactive to the day you did the purchase, you owe 35, 40% interest, whatever it is. That's not a ticket to financial independence or wealth. You're tying yourself up financially. You're putting handcuffs on yourself financially. What other analogies could you give, Krista?
Chaining yourself to a wall of obligation.
Wonderful. Chaining yourself to a wall of obligations? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
That English major in you. That was just wonderful. You got any others?
I don't know. I'd have to think of one.
All right. So as you're doing your Black Friday month shopping and you see all these things out there and you're going out shopping your nice list, maybe you're buying for some people on your naughty list too. What happens is you're out there and you see things for yourself too. And then you're like, I deserve that. And it says right there, buy now, pay later. Buy now, pay later. And you're like, sounds great to me. I'll take it. Instead, I want you hearing me. I want you hearing this in your head and you're thinking, okay, I'm not going to fall for it. I'm not going to get taken.
Gluing yourself or what? Velcroing yourself to a financial dartboard.
That one wasn't as good as the
All
one
right.
before. Okay.
All right. Should have just stuck with the first one.
Well, you really hit it out of the park with the first
Did I?
one.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was now. Matthew in Georgia says, "I hear you talk about the buy now and pay later options. An obvious no-no, but what are your thoughts on these on this for purchasing your cell phone through the cell phone provider, not the service, at 0% interest? For example, I have an Apple savings account and I purchased my Apple phone through Apple's monthly installment plan at 0% interest, and Apple requires payments to be automated. I have more than enough to cover the cost of the phone, and since the payments are automated, I don't see the harm in it. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts."
So I can't disagree with you. There's nothing wrong with what you're doing because it's all automated. You got the money. You just figure, why not use Apple's money instead of your own and earn 3% interest or 4% interest? I mean, you would be an example of somebody who's, remember I said everybody thinks they're going to pay it off, but almost nobody does? So you're somebody who's being subsidized by the people who don't pay it off. And so if you go eyes wide open, you know what you're doing, and this is a financial tool for you, that's fine.
Daryl in Georgia says, "For way too many reasons, we likely would be platinum level at our 2 local hospitals."
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
Oof. I believe it was last year we became aware of the term hospitalists. Having retired from the corporate world, I know titles can be trash or very specifically indicate duties, responsibilities, etc. It made me wonder if the term hospitalist is telling me that this is a person managing the hospital's policies and goals and not those of the patient, perhaps clearly stating that they have no fiduciary duty to patients. It would certainly match the shift in quality and the feeling some physicians have expressed of the loss of control over patient management. Don't get me wrong, I love all the healthcare professionals, but I see them struggle too. Is there some legal angle behind this or psychological manipulation of the healthcare workers?
So hospitalist is actually a specialty, a subspecialty of medical doctor. They go through specialized training to go into a hospital environment instead of a traditional medical practice environment. So they're trained to deal with people who come in where there may be no medical history available. And they are trained to go through a proper protocol to try to evaluate what actually is going on. And I will tell you, a hospitalist is the person who saved my life years ago when I had an unexplained condition and I was dying very, very quickly. I was moving towards death. I still remember when you came to see me in the hospital, I looked at your face and you thought you were seeing a dead man laying there.
They were talking about you going into sepsis, septic shock, yeah.
So it turned out I had a condition that the hospitalist, going through her protocol, said, "You don't have sepsis based on my expertise." I barely remember this because I was so close to death. And she said, "I think you have something," it took me a while to even learn how to say it, rhabdomyolysis. And it's a condition that happens to ultra marathoners, people like that. In my case, it happened because of a drug interaction. And I was dying right there.
You got to have a better
bed.
story. You got to say, I did an ultra marathon.
Oh, I did a extreme Ironman competition. And I climbed Mount Everest and biked 1,000 miles.
Just overdid it.
I did, yeah. Anyway, no, I mean, mine was mundane, but also going to be deadly. And she saved my life by figuring out what was wrong, and it's not solely because she was a hospitalist. It was because she'd had a lot of experience. But it's not a bad thing that a hospitalist is there. I think it's a great subspecialty of medicine, and especially because it saved my life. But, that was the sickest I've ever been. It took me 8 months to feel normal after having had that.
I do want to just say one thing, just the idea and the concept. I have one of my best friends is a very, very good specialist doctor. She even teaches at a Ivy League medical school. She's incredible. And she's so frustrated with her job, as are her coworkers, because the practices are being run now by these centralized people, and their whole job is to just save money and make more money for the practices. Like she has an assistant she's had forever. This person does not want anyone to have their long-term assistants. They want to centralize assistants that they choose and pay less money to. There's just so much going on in there to try to save and make more profits, I think, for the
hospital.
Yeah. And so in that regard, I don't know what that's called, but I do know that, a lot of medical professionals are so frustrated with that.
Think about doctors go through so many years of schooling, so much training. They have a shorter career span than the rest of us because of how many years they spend in training. And they are becoming serfs in these major hospital systems. And many are being forced to become employees without rights of these hospital systems, having all their independence taken from them and their judgments of what's best for a patient.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot happening.
There's a lot going on. But of those problems, the hospitalists are not part of the problem.
Vicenza in Colorado says, I forget where I heard it, but are car companies, specifically Toyota, starting to charge subscription fees for normal factory settings like air tire pressure, backup camera system, navigational system, remote start, and even music streaming from your own phone? I have a 2019 VW with less than 75,000 miles. It's in very good shape, and it's also paid off. I'd like to switch up my car to get a newer one, but I'm not sure about adding subscription costs to my new car purchase.
So what a great question. And Vicenza, I've not heard of this happening at Toyota, but it happens with Tesla. You pay a monthly data charge of $10 a month. If you want the full self-drive, you pay $99 a month. BMW has been experimenting with charging people a monthly fee for seat heaters, among other options or accessories in the vehicle. People are getting so used to subscriptions in their daily lives. We pay a subscription for our internet, if you think of it that way, paying a monthly fee. We pay for our cell phone service. We pay for streaming services, video. We pay for music streaming. And so the auto industry is now looking at this as an enormous potential future source of revenue that they're going to be able to book month after month for loading options onto a car, whether you want them or not, but they only become active if you pay a monthly subscription. And so not every automaker is going to do this. Not every model will come with it. And you don't necessarily have to pay this subscription if you don't want to use some of the features. I think a lot of safety systems, like you mentioned the backup cameras are required by law. They're not going to be able to charge you a subscription for that. But let's say you wanted video in case there was an accident and the cameras built in the car had video of it. Maybe they charge you a subscription for that. So it's hard to know where it's all going to go. But you shocked me with saying you're going to have to pay a fee to use the Bluetooth in the car to listen to music from your phone. That would be just mind-blowing. And yeah, it would be crazy to charge for basic safety things like checking the tire pressure in your car. But I don't know that we could put that past automakers doing that, because they're all struggling to maintain the levels of profitability they used to maintain because of all the changes happening with automotive fleets in the world. And a lot of automakers are facing extreme pressure from the world's largest manufacturing market for automobiles worldwide now is the Chinese. And we don't have Chinese vehicles in the United States, but in any real numbers. But in other countries, they have been taking significant market share. So automakers are looking for any way they can to maintain profitability, and subscriptions are definitely something that the industry talks a lot about. And the talk eventually leads to things like Tesla charging $10 a month to listen to music in your car, have navigation, that kind of thing. So your VW doesn't have a lot of miles on it. It's in good shape. It's paid off. You just gave yourself one more reason to keep driving it. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you for joining us for part of your day. Hope you learned something that gave you an actionable thing you can do in your own life or not do in your own life. And again, it is Black Friday month. You want to know the best deals on things? We got them for you all month long at clarkdeals.com. But just because something's on sale, if you don't need it, don't buy it. But buy this. What are we all about? You learning ways to save more, spend less, and avoid getting ripped off. Have a great rest of your day.